man. Good Monday morning. It's the McCollum on business. Went to talk and couldn't do it for some reason. I'm Stephen McCollum, and for the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to get you updated on what's happening around the business world. And look, after the weekend, a lot has happened since Friday, especially in the tariff side of things. So we'll get you updated on all of that, plus more, and we get it all started with the Market Watch. Well, everything was in the green earlier today, and just as the day has gone on, well, sell offs have occurred throughout it, despite some stocks going up in quite big amounts here after news over the weekend as well. You can see everything's in the red. So Dow Jones down 226 points right now to 46,957. S&P 500's down 38 points to 6705. The Nasdaq's down 43 points to 22,857, and then you've got the Russell 2K. It's down 21 points. The small cap index, 2371, is what it is trading at here on this early Monday morning, about midday here, right, as we get closer to the end of the trading day. And then there's Bitcoin, folks. It is continuing to go down. 92,616 for Bitcoin here on Monday. I saw on Saturday it was trading in 95,000 range. So the Bitcoin sell-off continues to happen here, and it continues to fall as this has gone on for over a week now for the Bitcoin side of things. And I see articles galore. I read a couple over the weekend just saying that, a lot of big Bitcoin holders are cashing out, because they bought it in the 50, 70,000 range, and it obviously trading at 100,000. So you're seeing that sell off. I see other people kind of ringing the bell about what's coming for Bitcoin and these cryptocurrencies is kind of falling off. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that. But Bitcoin, 92,586 as of right now. And then things that markets are looking for this week. Well, NVIDIA reports Wednesday after the bell are coming up. That's obviously going to be a big stock people are paying attention to on Wednesday. But then a lot of retailers are putting their stocks out this week as well. Target, I know, is earlier this week. I believe they're Tuesday. You got Home Depot early part of this week as well. So a lot of retailers coming out. And what that's going to tell us, including Walmart this week, what that's going to tell us is what's the state of the economy from the consumer perspective. Are consumers still buying? Are they pulling back? Especially the Walmart reporting is going to be the interesting one on that. So we're paying attention to that here coming up this week. The non-farm payroll report for September. Remember, the government shutdown kind of delayed these. That is expected on Thursday to come out as well. We probably won't see an October one after that. So we'll have to rely on the September one. That's kind of late here, but we are expecting that non-farm payroll report coming out on a Thursday. Stocks we're paying attention to right now, well, Alphabet's the first one we're going to take a look at. They were driving the market up earlier today. They're up 3.36% right now for Alphabet. Of course, Google's parent company, Waymo, et cetera. A lot of companies there. YouTube, for instance. Warren Buffett's company, Berkshire Hathaway, well, they revealed it's taken more than a $4 billion stake in Alphabet in the third quarter. Interesting to note on this is, one, it gives confidence in Alphabet with their data centers and AI, et cetera, that they're on the right path when Berkshire Hathaway throws their money behind it. But also it's significant because this is probably, now a lot of trades happen without Warren Buffett being in charge of it, but he's retiring from that company. He's in his early 90s and he's retiring. Now this is probably coming from the guys that are going to take over the company when Warren Buffett is completely gone. So a couple of significant moves here, and Alphabet up 3.59% here today based off of that news. Then we'll look at Apple as well. There was a Friday report in the Financial Times that said Apple is ramping up its preparations to identify and even name a successor to their CEO. Tim Cook, obviously that's a signal that Tim Cook could be looking to retire from his CEO job there at Apple. 1.41% down right now for Apple, kind of based off of that news as well. No information about when it's going to happen. I mean, eventually everybody's gone, right? But if they're looking for a successor, well, that means They've probably been put on notice here as well. So 1.45% down for Apple today. And then there's a company called Vita Coco out there. They make coconut water. You probably have seen them all over the shelves. 6.96% up today for Vita Coco. They were up over 10% earlier today before the sell-off started happening. Well, why are they up? Well, it's a story we're going to talk about here coming up in this first segment as well. But Donald Trump, as president, slashed the tariffs on several agricultural imports. Vita Coco said in a Monday statement that it now expects an average tariff rate of about 6%. Before, they had been looking at a 22% tariff rate before that, 23% in that range. So that's a significant tariff cut. We'll talk about that coming up. Several industries tariffs have been cut here over the weekend by President Trump. When we come back later on and look at stocks, we're going to look at EW Scripps. We're going to look at a company called Zymeworks and a company called Jazz Pharmaceuticals. They're in the drug industry and some phase 3 trials for them. So we'll take a look at their results coming up as well. But first, let's get you caught up on these big stories over the weekend. And, the FAA has had this freeze, I guess we could say, right? It was at 6%. They didn't increase it to 10 because of the air traffic controllers with the government shutdown. Well, now the FAA's flight reduction emergency order, well, it's officially over as of this morning. So now there's normal operations are allowed to resume nationwide, specifically those 40 airports, including Phoenix Sky Harbor, where they were restricting them at that 6% level. So it was lifted this morning at 6 a.m. Eastern time. So that's 4 a.m. our time here in Phoenix as well. So it came from the recommendations from the FAA safety team. The decision came after safety reviews and improvements in air traffic control staffing levels across the U.S. Well, they got a lot better here over the weekend. It continued to tick upwards in terms of availability of those air traffic controllers. Since the government shutdown ended last week, staffing levels, they've been basically shifting back to normal pretty quickly as well. On Friday, for instance, there were 6 staffing triggers. There were 8 on Saturday, and then only 1 yesterday, according to data from the FAA. So that's where, and that basically that 1%, that's consistent with pre-shutdown levels and conditions. If you go back, right, November 8th was the biggest day where there was 81 triggers at that point in time for the safety side. So no more restrictions, at least from the FAA side of things, the government side of things, on air traffic control. So if you are traveling this weekend or have a travel coming up for the holidays, it'll be semi back to normal. Now it's up to the airlines to make sure it gets back to normal as those restrictions have gone away. And interesting enough, with this and with the economy the way it is, there's actually new data out there from the RV Industry Association. It actually shows that 28 million Americans plan to travel by RV this wintertime. That includes 9 million people in RVs over Thanksgiving, 7 million over the Christmas time. So that's 4 in 10 leisure travelers say they expect to take an RV trip in the coming year. Well, that shows you that road tripping is back as a main thing to do, right? No more easy airplane travel out there. There's a company that makes RVs called Blue Compass. They were all over this story earlier today, and I believe this was a Fox Business story. But they say new RV sales, they're up 17% for that company. Used RV sales, they've jumped more than 20% in recent months. And their service traffic does continue to be strong for that company. The ad tariffs have had only minimal impact on its business. Lower gas prices continue to strengthen the RV value equation as gas prices aren't up in that $4-5% or $5 range, as we said. We've talked about Airstream before. Their sales were kind of up this year and had some good reporting. Winnebago, we've talked about here as the summertime was happening. So RVs becoming a staple again here in the United States. Interesting enough, I saw this little statistic as well while researching this. Hey, the state of Indiana, folks, it produces about 86% of all Vs for the U.S. and Canada. Yeah, can you believe that? I was shocked. I mean, there's other stuff in Kentucky and other places, but 86% in Indiana by itself. Wow. Wholesale shipments of RVs, they finished 2024 at 333,733 units. That's worth about $20.27 billion as well. So RV, huge industry, and apparently, at least according to what we're reading right now, people getting away from airplanes, etc. Well, that means the RV business is soaring right now. See what I did there? Flying. We talked about it here earlier, right, with the Vita Coco and the tariffs coming down. Well, here's the deal right now. And, it started on Friday that Omaha Steak CEO said America's beef bills are going to keep climbing, is what he was saying at that time. So Omaha Steak CEO came out and he cautioned that the nation's sinking cattle supply and record demand are driving. He said where it's going to get to $10 a pound reality is what he said. That could stretch family budgets, obviously, as just that's a very expensive meat. Beef prices are at a record high, as you know, after that drought that has kind of left cattle industry an inventory of cattle at the lowest level in over the 70 years. According to the latest consumer price index, well, this is all from that U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics we talk about here. Beef and veal prices were up 14.7% year over year in September. Uncooked ground beef was up 12.9% at that point. So on Friday, Omaha Steak CEO kind of raising the alarm that $10 a pound is coming our way pretty quickly as it has gotten more and more expensive. And then pretty much a little bit after the Omaha Steaks CEO said that stuff, President Trump came out and actually announced on Friday that he was scrapping those U.S. tariffs on beef, coffee, tropical fruits, and a bunch of other commodities out there on tariffs that he had into spots, right? This is a dramatic move, a surprise move, and it comes about from that mounting pressure on his administration because of those high consumer prices that we all still face here today. Trump has built his second term around imposing those steep tariffs on goods imported to the U.S. He's trying to encourage domestic production and then also lifting the U.S. economy at the same time. This was a shocking and quick retreat here from that, not just a retreat, but then based his presidency off of this tariff policy as well. And he about faced quickly as well. So a lot of this could be because of the voters in these off-year elections, the ones that just happened a week and a half ago. The kind of the results out of it. Forget about the Democrats losing in blue state or winning in blue states. A lot of the results coming out of it and on these in this off-year election, well, a lot of the feedback was in terms of the polling was that the voters cited economic concerns were voters' top issues when they voted last Tuesday. So record high beef prices are actually been a major part of that concern as well. Trump said he did intend to take action to try and lower those beef prices beforehand. So, these tariffs on Brazil, basically, not just beef, but coffee and other things, have been a major factor in these prices not coming down as well. So an executive order was signed on Friday. It removes tariffs not only on beef, but tea, fruit juice, cocoa, spices, bananas, oranges, tomatoes, and even certain fertilizers that come up from that area in the South America, for instance. Some of the products covered aren't produced in the United States at all. So that doesn't make any sense on why tariffs were meant to spur domestic production because we don't grow them here. But reducing the tariffs will mean lower or should mean lower prices for U.S. consumers coming up as well. The Food Industry Association, they represent the retailers, producers, and a bunch of other people here in the food industry services here that we're talking about. They, of course, applauded Trump's move here to remove those tariffs to provide swift tariff relief on those products. They also noted that import U.S. taxes are an important factor in a complex mix of supply chain issues, is how they frame it as well. So how does the White House describe and explain this tariff reduction kind of coming out of nowhere? Well, they said on Friday that some of the original levies that Trump put on, like for instance Brazil and those specific products, they said that those tariffs, well, they were no longer needed because of the trade agreements that President Trump has since kind of got together with these key U.S. trading partners. There's a bunch of deals with Guatemala and Central America and South America countries. So that's how they're used saying that those tariffs could go away because we had bigger stuff, in line as well. So Friday's announcement does follow the Trump administration have reached that framework agreement. As I said, Ecuador, Guatemala, El Salvador, Argentina as well. So that is the means here for the ability of U.S. companies to sell industrial and agricultural products in those countries as well. But it also eases the tariffs on architectural projects produced there that come up here to the United States. So some relief here on that tariff side. Kind of surprise news over the weekend that those tariffs kind of disappeared on beef, etc. So be aware of your grocery store here. Let's see if we see some relief at our grocery stores out there. And those are the major government side stories. And I question this a lot. Like here in Arizona, our utility bills go down here in the wintertime for the most part. Our ACs aren't blasting, 24/7 like they do over the summertime. And so we kind of get our relief on our utility bills right now, but the rest of the country, especially cold weather places, are dealing with the opposite effect. Their electric bills are going up. And interesting story here, because past due balances on utility companies, they jumped 9.7% annually here recently. And that's the $789. That's between April and June periods of 2024 and 2025. This is from the Century Foundation. They're a liberal think tank out there. They're an advocacy group that works on these types of issues. The increase has the increase here is overlapped with a 12% jump in monthly energy bills during that same period. It's not a surprise to anybody out there, especially if you live here in Phoenix, how much more your bill was this summer compared to previous years, and they're raising their prices, right? On top of using more energy. Consumers usually prioritize their utility bills, alongside their mortgages and auto debt and auto payments, as well as that's how they say that we look at our utility bills. So the increase in both energy costs and delinquencies, well, that could suggest that consumers are falling behind on other bills. We're seeing the level of delinquent mortgages also going up as well. And once we get to those bills, that means everything underneath that are really down as well. Troubles paying electricity and natural gas bills, it reflects something of an economic issue here for President Trump and his administration, right? Well, because want the build out of artificial intelligence industry, and they want data centers to keep growing as that money goes into it. It's a key part. Those artificial intelligence stuff, data centers, is a key part of an economic boom that the president and even here in Phoenix, right, our mayors, etc., are really pushing to being developed here. But as we all know, the data centers, they're known for their massive use of electricity and water, for instance, and they threaten to further increase utility bills for everyday Americans. We know that better than anybody here. APS, SRP, they're passing along the price increases. They're pricing along the cost of the increased electricity and water that these data centers are using onto us regular human beings that just own our houses. And they're doing that, and they're doing it, without any shame out there. Nearly 6 million households have utility debt that they are calling so severe that it'll soon be reported to collection agencies. This is on top of already being shut off as well at these houses. During Trump's first 6 months in office, there was a 3.8% increase in households with severely overdue utility bills as well. So utility bills, we're seeing some factual numbers on past due amounts here. Like I said, through April through June of 24 and 25 years there as well. So, it's something that is hitting everywhere as we are speaking. We're not just imagining it here in Phoenix, folks. Like sometimes I feel like we are. But no, it's a real thing out there. And now we'll talk about, private equity firms when they buy companies. They tend to ruin those companies. They just want to get their money out of it. Prices get raised. We saw that with Jimmy John's, for instance, as a good example. They just worry about efficiency, pumping items out. Quality usually goes down. It's all about the bottom dollar. Yeah, well, with the holidays coming up, Walgreens is no longer going to give most of its workers paid vacation time for 6 holidays now. Thanksgiving, Christmas are two of those holidays coming up, and you're not going to get paid if you work at Walgreens anymore, unless you work it. Yeah. So if you don't know, Walgreens was just bought out by a private equity company for $10 billion. And then Bloomberg first reported this that Walgreens eliminated 6 paid holidays for hourly store workers. They informed them of the change in early October. The move comes about a month after it was bought out by that private equity firm. That was Sycamore Partners, if I remember correctly. Walgreens, of course, has been struggling for several years now. It announced in 2024 it planned to close about 1,200 underperforming stores across the United States. It's all part of that strategy to offset declining profits. They have a lot of problems, right? Low drug reimbursement rates, sluggish retail sales for them. And now, employees, unless you work the holiday, no holiday pay for you. And boy, private equity firms don't care. They just care about the profit amount. That's why I don't like private equity firms buying companies. It changes the fundamentals. And it all becomes about money. And you see that now for those employees coming up at Walgreens. And now when we come on back, we'll look at EW Scripts. We'll look at Zymeworks, Jazz Pharmaceuticals, and the Market Watch and stocks we're paying attention to. We'll see if there's any kind of buyback here on the market as the sell-off has happened as the day's gone on here on Monday. And we'll get to some local stories. St. Mary's Food Bank might need some help here for those of you able to give. We'll tell you how you can help them out as well for the Thanksgiving holiday coming up. So come on back, folks. McCollum on Business, Monday edition. And we're back here at McCollum on Business Monday edition. Appreciate you joining me. I'm Stephen McCollum, and we're just roaring through the show. We'll get to the Market Watch again here in just a second. But first, you just saw a commercial there for The Real Matrix. Every Wednesday at noon, new episode of The Real Matrix does come out for you. This week, episode 9 will be out. First 8 are up right now on demand here at Robot TV. Just go to the channel there. You'll see it on your main page, The Real Matrix. Click on that. It'll pop right up for you. New episode on Wednesday. And, of course, you can find it on the YouTube channel as well for the programs that we produce here at Robot TV. The Real Matrix is there. The main event is there. This show, of course, McCollum on Business. Pit Stop is there as well. So check that out there on that free YouTube page. If your friends don't have Robot TV and they don't want to subscribe, well, give us a try. Check it out on the free side before they find out that they want to watch this stuff live as well. That's how we do this here on the live side. And, of course, as soon as we're done here, we get this posted here at the McCollum on Business on Robot TV and on the YouTube page as well. The Real Matrix has its own podcast version. If you'd rather listen to it as well, just search The Real Matrix on your favorite podcasting system as well. The Pit Stop has a podcast system as well for free if you want to listen to that. That's the race-based programming here, kind of on hiatus until February when racing starts again. We'll do some intermediate shows with some big news coming up, some lawsuit stuff coming up here as well. We'll break in and do some shows on that. At the Pit Stop Talk, you can follow me on X as well as on, use that as well at the Pit Stop Talk to find the free podcast system. It's all there on the YouTube page, Robat TV here as well. The main event done for Monday. A lot of Cardinals talk today after another disastrous performance by them. Of course, we talk ASU as well. Bruce Cooper joins us tomorrow, of course, local legend in sports broadcasting as well. Joins us on Tuesdays here during the football season. He'll be in tomorrow as well. So catch us on the YouTube page, free podcast system, or of course here at Robat TV as well. That's live 8 to 10 a.m. here at Robat TV. With all that being said, let's get right back into that Market Watch. As we said earlier today, a couple things were in the red. Now everything is. Big sell-off has happened. Dow Jones is 277 points down right now. S&P 500 down 40 points. The Nasdaq's down 101 points, and then you got the Russell 2K 23 points down. For that, the small cap index, even Bitcoin's not escaping today. Folks, it is down the 92,486 range right now for Bitcoin. And look, it's cryptocurrencies as a whole. Ethereum, which is another popular one, down as well. Solaria is down. The big name ones are all been selling off here lately. And Bitcoin, some people taking some profits. It'll be interesting to see what happens with these cryptocurrencies, with this market that we're experiencing right now. Stocks we're paying attention to. Well, first one will be EW Scripps out there. They're a broadcasting company. They're up 33.99%. It just dropped down to 33.82% right now. What's happening here in this industry is Sinclair, which is a competitor here of EW Scripps. Well, Sinclair, you remember when Jimmy Kimmel stuff all was happening? Sinclair was one of the major broadcasting companies that refused to air a show, which put pressure on ABC to, obviously, put it on hiatus, right? Sinclair has acquired about an 8% position here on EW Scripps as well. This was a filing here, of course, with regulators. So Sinclair had recently launched a strategic review of its own business as well. So basically what this is telling the market and the anticipation is Sinclair buying 8% position in Scripps. Well, that means that these companies are in a prime position to merge here coming up. EW Scripps, 33.82% up here today. Sinclair was also up today as well. I don't have that graph for you as well. Scripps has been struggling in this competitive industry of television broadcasting, and Scripps is actually one of the smallest companies, if not the smallest company in this industry. So they're ripe for a takeover or merger, and looks like Sinclair's poising itself to be that company to merge with them out there. So pay attention to EW Scripps here coming up as well as Sinclair. And then next up, we're going to look at a company called Zymeworks. Yes, this is a drug maker. And same thing here with our next stock. It kind of goes together here. There, phase 3 trial results of a cancer drug. As well. The drug is called Zerhara. Thank you for making a drug name that isn't hard to pronounce. First of all, Zymeworks is up 29.75% here today. The other company involved in this, Jazz Pharmaceuticals, we got this graph for you. Both companies are working on this Zerhara drug as well. So their trial results, as you can tell, both stocks up big today. 21.61% for Jazz on top of what we showed you with Zymeworks. The phase 3 trial results for that cancer drug, Zerhara, was really, really good. Positive results from it, high expectations, positive results. Both of these stocks, as they are both companies working on that cancer drug, kind of a joint venture. So that's why both of these stocks are through the roof here today with that positive cancer results here between those two companies. So, now next it goes to approvals and other things. So these are two pharmaceutical companies you should be paying attention to if you like to pay attention to that specific industry out there, especially here on this Monday. Don't forget, NVIDIA reports on Wednesday after the bell. A bunch of retailers, Home Depot's this week, Target, Walmart, everybody's going to be looking at Nvidia and Walmart this week. Walmart specifically, because that's going to tell the market how consumers feel about this economy. Are they pulling back? Are they still spending a whole bunch? All of this week with a lot of retailers. Home Depot will be about, the how houses aren't selling still, but how that market is going. So waiting for that. The non-farm payroll report for September. It's late, but it'll be out here coming up in Thursday as well. So the market's paying attention to all of that. And now let's talk a little bit of local stories, right? We're less than 2 weeks to Thanksgiving. What about a week and a half or so from Thanksgiving? And some people need some help here as well, specifically St. Mary's Food Bank. They came out, and I saw this reporting over the weekend. They said that they have more than 9,000 birds short of their goal, and their goal is 24,000 turkeys for the Thanksgiving holiday. So the interesting thing about this is, they haven't been focusing on Thanksgiving with everything else happening out there, right? St. Mary's spokesperson Jerry Brown, he said the organization, not spending all that time working on Thanksgiving meal operations because of the SNAP benefits, the other community needs that have happened over the last couple weeks as well. So they haven't focused on it, hasn't gotten the call out. And now they're kind of focusing on it, and that's where we're getting these drives as well. You can still support the drive, the turkey drive here. You can bring turkeys, other food supplies to St. Mary's locations. You can also make monetary donations. So that's just St. Mary's, right? You've got Salvation Army, of course, other charitable food places, United, the food one. I just completely forgot the name over in Mesa as well. So they're all going to be hurting for food, supplies, etc. So if you have the means and in your heart says to do it, lean into these companies as they need it, especially with the SNAP stuff that just happened and other things. So people can experience the Thanksgiving holiday coming up, and of course Christmas as well. So hey, the last week I didn't even know this; it kind of just slid right on by. But last Thursday was the 50th anniversary of the Apache helicopter. If you don't know what the Apache helicopter is, you've seen them 100 times and everything, but it's a military helicopter, and it first took flight back in September of 1975. Well, Arizona officials, governors, people battling it out for the governorship next year, all got together there and visited Mesa up there for the celebration. You know, uh, Democratic governor, of course, Katie Hobbs, Congressman, Republican Greg Stanton, and Andy Biggs. They were all over at Boeing's manufacturing facility in Northeast Mesa, all to kind of celebrate Arizona's role in the developing the Apache helicopter. And the Apache helicopter is still being used by the U.S. Army, 16 other nations as well. A lot of our friends, right? The UK, Israel, Japan, South Korea, all still using that helicopter. The Apache was first developed by Hughes Helicopters. It is now being manufactured by Boeing over the last several years. Boeing is the fourth largest employer in Mesa. They employ about 4,600 people over there in the city. So you had political enemies, political, opponents sitting next to each other over there in Mesa, all fighting for the camera space, no doubt, as well there. But happy birthday to of course, the Apache helicopter out there. And Mesa in Arizona has a big history of that process. And if you want to go to building side of things, hey, if you want to buy a building downtown Phoenix, well, you can get one on a big discount here. Apparently, a high-rise office building in Midtown Phoenix, Central and Thomas area. Well, a big discount here. And this is that building. It's at 2600 North Central Avenue. There's no names on it or anything, but you drive by there, you'll see it. It sold for $15 million earlier this month. Okay, that's a lot of money still, right? But in 2019, the building sold for $29,450,000. About half of what it was bought for in 2019 is what it was sold for. It's a 20-story building, has over 317,000 square feet, built in 1994. It sits on 2.74 acres there at Central and Thomas. It was renovated in 2022. It added a revamped lobby, tenant lounge, conference center, fully equipped gym in it. So I'm just saying that one's already been sold. Maybe there's another deal out there for those of you wanting real estate people. I'm a real estate guy, but I'm focused on single family homes, not high rises. I don't get into that game at all, but if you want to. But more shockingly to me is downtown Phoenix sold for half of what it sold for just in 2019 out there. Kind of an eye opener in terms of what things are going for right now out there. And all right, on Friday, yes, Arizona. It's the end of an era. Arizona is losing one of its big and quite frankly well thought of, maybe until recently, but well thought of family farms out there. Yes, there's a company out there called Manta Quiero. It's a USA, is what they're calling the U.S. version. It's a joint venture between a Brazilian food company, and another organization out there that deals in foods. Well, they announced on Friday they're going to acquire the Hickman's family farm out there. According to the announcement, the joint venture and between them and Hickman's, well, they've entered into a binding agreement. The transaction is expected to be completed by the end of the year. So the Hickman farm, well, the family at least is no longer going to be owning that as well. If you remember, the Hickman farms lost 3 million egg-laying chickens to the bird flu earlier this year in May. They had to have several layoffs as well, 86 layoffs because of that. Kind of having to rebound from that, I'm sure, is financially tough for them. And this is kind of a segue for this company from Brazil to get into the United States, which they've been trying to do for a lot of years. In terms of a Hickman statement in the family, well, they say, quote, "Our family has spent generations building a company rooted in excellence and integrity. We are confident that this transaction will bring even greater opportunities to our customers, employees, and partners here in Arizona." So that's from CEO Glenn Hickman, who is the president, et cetera, there. So family company, long-standing company here, family company out there in the West Valley. Moving along and going to a big conglomerate out there. Seems like all these companies are starting to move that way. And folks, McCollum on Business isn't going that way. We're just still locally and small owned here as well. We'll be back tomorrow, Tuesday's edition coming up for you. Don't forget, live here, we got the main event tomorrow morning, 8 to 10 a.m. Bruce Cooper joins me and Dale Hellestray. And, of course, McCollum on Business at 11 as well, coming your way. And so, folks, come and join us live here at Robat TV. Catch us on demand at Robat TV on the free YouTube page or free podcasting systems as well. We'll see you tomorrow, everyone. Have a great night.